Hello. Hey. Did anybody have people starting to show up?
Oh yeah, there's a whole bunch down there. This is one I was taking care of.
Okay.
This is Ryan Rue. We had agreed on his judgment
Ms. Lozano, maybe you want to call Mr. Anderson's office and see. I just want to make sure there's not some technical
Okay.
delay.
Judge, he just went up there. They're going to check and make sure and text me to let me know if there's a problem.
But they went up where?
Upstairs in his office to get on the Zoom.
Okay.
Judge, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Judge, I have my client in here. Her mom's a possible witness. She's also here. And then I have a record supervisor in the waiting room. They're trying to get her logged on to a Zoom as well.
All right. All ready then to get started?
Yes.
All right. Well, then, this is cause number 2019L7515 in the matter of the marriage of Genesis Lawless and Jeffrey Lawless. Mr. Anderson, if I can get you to announce.
John Anderson for Genesis Lawless. I have Genesis Lawless next to me.
And Ms. Smith or Smythe.
Hi, Lauren J. Carrington Smythe, and I'm here for the counter petitioner and the respondent, Mr. Jeffrey Lawless. We're ready.
Right. So, Mr. Anderson, what witnesses will you have today?
I have Johanna, I think it's Beekman. And then if you'll state your name.
Diana Guerrero.
Diana Guerrero.
Correct.
And Ms. Smythe, who would you have to testify?
Your Honor, I have Mr. Jeffrey Lawless, and I'm going to have to object on the grounds of a 194 that we haven't had any notice of any of Miss Genesis Lawless's witnesses. This is the first time that I'm hearing about it today.
Okay. All right. Well, this is temporary. For a temporary restraining order, we'll just go ahead and have whoever people want to call, they can call today. So if I can get the witnesses who are there to raise their right hands.
Your Honor, I'm also going to go ahead and have, is Danny available to get on? Yes. Jeffrey, is she going to be testifying today?
Possibly if she needs to.
Do you want her to?
Yeah, that's fine. She can.
What's her
Okay.
name? What's her name?
Danielle Williams.
All right, so for the people that I see before us, I'm going to get them to raise their right hands. Anybody who's going to testify? All right, Mr. Lawless, if you're going to testify. All right, do you and each of you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so does anybody want the rule invoked?
Yes, I'd like the rule invoked.
All right, so for Ms. Diekman and Ms. Guerrero, and if Daniel Williams is around anywhere, you'll need to leave the initial screen and not listen to people testify and not have people discuss their testimony around you.
Judge, what I'll do, since the people are here in my office, I'll just shut down the one where Ms. Beekman is sitting at, and I'll have everybody waiting in another waiting area, and then I'll call them in here as we testify.
All right. All right. So you want to go ahead and get that done?
Yeah, you'll come sit here.
Okay, Mr. Anderson, what are you asking for today?
Judge, we're asking Judge that Genesis be appointed sole managing conservator of the child, Judge. We're asking that there be visitation for Jeffrey Lawless to be supervised a couple hours on the first, third, and fifth Saturday, that he pick up and drop off, or that he go to the place that the court designates. We would hope that it'd be like a park, somewhere public, for a couple hours, and Miss Lawless would bring the child and let him interact with the child for a few hours on those first, third, and fifth Saturdays. We are asking that the court order child support based on the guideline. We have calculated to be about $400. We ask that Miss Lawless have exclusive use of her property where she's at, as well as her vehicle during the temporariness of this divorce. We're asking that injunctions be the standard injunctions, as well as a injunction not allowing the overnight stay of any dating partner if the court deems that he should be able to have the child overnight. We're also asking that he not consume alcohol 12 hours prior or during the possession of the child, and that he not remove the child beyond the geographical area identified by this court. We're asking that he have medical insurance on the child or reimburse Ms. Lawless for medical as well as dental, Judge.
All right, and Ms. Smythe, what are you asking for?
Your Honor, respondent's summary of requested relief is as follows. Mr. Lawless is asking for joint managing conservatorship, and mom would be designated primary with the exclusive right to designate the residence of the children. We do agree with paying guideline child support at 20%, medical support, dental support as needed. If the children are on Medicaid, then we ask that mom maintain the Medicaid and dad will reimburse her for the standard amount. We are asking that the parties agree to an alternative location, and that can be where pickups and drop-offs take place. He's asking for a standard possession order with Fridays at 6 p.m. until Sundays at 6 p.m. and Thursday night, dinner night from the time school gets out until 8 p.m. with the pickup and drop off at the alternative location. He wants to have summers and holidays as per the standard possession order with extracurriculars and daycare expenses, each to be shared equally. Your Honor, these parties are I mean, having not as much high conflict as it would seem. There has been distance that has created from time passing, but we believe the evidence is going to show that he is more than interested father. He's extremely misses his children and just really can't wait to get back on board and have visitation again.
All right, so Mr. Anderson, call your first witness.
I call Genesis Lawless.
You may proceed.
Okay, so just a few ground rules, okay? You see Miss Lozano there, she's gonna be taking everything you say down. So you need to speak loudly, you need to speak clearly, and you need to use words. She can't take head nods or uh-huhs or ums, okay?
Okay.
Understand that?
Yes.
Miss Lozano, can you hear us okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, and if Miss Smythe, if she, you just stop talking altogether, okay, until the judge rules.
Okay.
All right? So can you state your name for the record?
My name is Genesis Lawless.
Okay, and you are currently married to Jeffrey Lawless, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and where's your current residence?
My address or
Yes, what's your home address?
2017 Angel Cove Lane, Sealy, Texas.
Okay, and you currently live there with Hannah Lawless?
Yes.
Okay, and is that the address you're asking for exclusive right to have, where Jeffrey cannot come into your home?
Yes.
Okay, and Hannah Lawless, she is your daughter, is that correct?
Yes.
And she's the daughter of you and Jeffrey?
Yes.
Okay, and how old, do you know her birthday?
March 1st, 2019.
Okay, so she just turned 3, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And when did you and Jeffrey get married?
March 27th, 2017.
Okay, and how long have you and Jeffrey been separated?
Going on almost 3 years.
Okay, so right after Hannah was born?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, all right. So y'all were together about a year, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and in that year, did some things happen that gave you cause for concern about your relationship?
Yes.
And what are those things that happened? You need to take your time, it's okay.
When I was pregnant, he got upset over something very old that he had seen on my phone. And he pushed me against the wall. And when I tried to get him off of me, he just threw me around the room, pinned me up against the wall, and I tried to kick him off of me.
Do you know when that was, ma'am?
I don't remember exactly when.
Did you call the police
Yes, the day after.
the day after?
Yes.
Was it at night when it happened?
Yes.
Okay, and they came out,
Yes.
made a report?
Yes.
Okay. Did that ever happen again?
No, because I left that night.
Okay. Was there multiple instances of assault or just that one?
Multiple. There was times when we would get into an argument in the car, and I don't remember if we were in Dallas or in San Antonio, and he was being very racial, profiling a man on the road, and I told him that that wasn't nice, and he started to call me with his words, where you're just a fucking nigger lover, and tried to push me out of the truck.
So he would make racial remarks to you,
Well, yes.
and he would assault you?
Yeah.
Can I object as to leading?
Objection sustained.
And do you think that these are things that Hannah should be around
No.
without some sort of supervision?
No.
Do you think that's good for Hannah to hear and see?
No.
Do you know where Jeffrey lives?
No, he never wanted to give me his address.
Okay. When is the last time that he has seen Hannah?
She was about maybe 3 or 4 months old.
So he hasn't seen Hannah since she was 3 or 4 months old,
Yes.
and she's 3 years old now?
Yes.
Do you think it would be in her best interest to be given to somebody who hasn't seen her since she was 3 months old?
No.
And her have to spend the whole weekend with them?
No.
Is that why you're asking this court to make it supervised for a couple hours at a park in Sealy
Yes.
for quite a while until we can get some time for them to see each other, and if he's gonna show up and spend time with her? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
And do you think that would be in her best interest?
Yes.
Okay. Has he paid child support
No.
since he's been gone?
No.
So since she's been born, he hasn't given you any kind of money, has he?
He did help for about a month.
Okay.
A
When
month
was that?
and a half. It was about a year ago. Yeah, about a year ago. But after that, he stopped helping.
Okay. So for about a year, he has not done anything, and then after she was born.
After she was born, he didn't help for a long time.
Okay.
I asked him for a box of diapers once and he never sent anything.
So he hasn't shown any financial responsibility toward this child, has he?
No.
And are you asking this court to have him come to Sealy for his visitation?
Yes.
Is there a park somewhere close by where you live that y'all could go to?
Yes.
Do you know what the park is called?
It's the Lions Park.
The Lions Park? Okay. And is that where you're asking this visitation to be held?
Yes.
And are you willing to supervise the visitation
Yes.
from your car? Would you sit in your car and let him interact with the child at the park?
I mean, I could be sitting on the bench while he's on the playground with her.
Okay. And if you couldn't do it, is there somebody else that you think could supervise it?
Yes, my mom.
Your mom? And she's here today?
Yes.
So she could tell this court whether or not she'd be willing to do that?
Yes.
And do you think that giving him a standard possession order, which would be Friday to Sunday, where the child would go to wherever he's at and spend the night, do you think that would be in her best interest right now?
No.
Who's been the sole caretaker of Hannah? So are you the one that's taking her to the doctor?
Yes.
Are you the one that's made sure that she's taken care of at daycare or wherever she's attended?
Yes.
Okay. Are you asking this court to give you the exclusive right to do those things?
Yes.
Because you have been taking care of it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you're asking the court for child support today?
Yes.
Okay. Are you also asking the court, who has insurance on Hannah?
I do.
Okay, and what do you have insurance through?
Medicaid.
Medicaid, okay, and how much is it per month for Medicaid?
I don't pay anything.
Oh, so you don't know an amount?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Now, are you asking the court for injunctions if the court would grant him any kind of custody?
What does that mean?
To not drink
Yes.
during the possession
Yes.
and before the possession?
Yes.
Okay. And what about having a dating partner in the home if at some point in time the court was to give him a standard possession? You asking that not happen either?
Maybe at first,
Until he gets to know the child?
yes.
Okay. Are you asking the court to allow you to designate the residence of the child?
As in,
Your residence would be Hannah's residence.
okay,
Is that what you're asking the court?
yes,
Okay. And that's at the address you provided, correct?
yes,
Okay. Are you working, ma'am?
yes.
Where are you working at?
I recently just started working for a fueling company named Lone Star Fueling in Katy.
Okay. All right. Pass the witness, Judge.
Ms. Smythe,
Miss Lawless, isn't it true that you actually have been in contact with Mr. Lawless quite often over the cell phone, texting back and forth?
No ma'am, not recently.
When was it more common that you and he would text back and forth on the phone?
When was it more common?
Yes, I have 36 messages here of you and Mr. Lawless texting back and forth. Does that surprise you?
No.
Because you used to be in contact quite regularly, weren't you not?
By regularly, you mean as in every day?
Yes, as in you would ask Mr. Lawless, for help money wise, and he would give it to you.
Yes, ma'am, because that's just kind of what we agreed on at the time that he was helping.
Okay, and during that time, you were feeling like you guys were getting along. You were giving regular updates about Hannah, correct?
Yes.
And there was a long period of time where you were giving pictures, you were giving updates about her well-being and your plans for daycare. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And so when did you decide to just stop all that?
When he had messaged me saying things about him not thinking that Hannah Lawless is his, he didn't want to help till we got the divorce situated.
Okay, so we did the DNA test and it came up positive that he is the father, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so prior to that, did you and he have a decent relationship?
No, I would say I was just being nice in order to keep the peace.
Okay, but you have denied him visitation this entire time, am I right?
No, ma'am.
Okay. You have refused to allow him to take his child without being supervised by you, am I right?
That's not saying he can't visit her.
Right, but it has to be under your terms and he's not allowed to leave with his own child. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, because he is physical.
Okay, because he and you had a physical issue, you want to punish him and make it so that he can never see his child. Is that correct?
No, I was pregnant. I was pregnant with her, and he can still see her, just with supervision. It's never not seeing her. He will still see her.
Isn't it true that Mr. Lawless has called very regularly asking to just have a quick 5-minute phone call with his daughter?
Yes, and if she refused to stay on the phone with him, I couldn't do anything about it.
Well, she's a little 3-year-old, so little 3-year-olds don't really like to talk on the phone for more than a couple of minutes, am I right?
My child does.
Well, would you be okay with her having a night-night phone call between the hours of maybe 2 and 4 o'clock or 4 and 5 o'clock each day for just 5 minutes?
I'm at work at that time.
Is there a better time when he could call and just have a little 5-minute FaceTime, maybe a bedtime call then before the baby goes to bed? Would that work?
That would work.
Okay, and you filed for divorce in this county, is that correct?
In my county?
In this county, yes.
Yes, in Austin County.
And you were living here for 90 days prior to your filing?
Yes, ma'am.
And no chance of any you guys getting back together, no reconciliation?
No, ma'am.
Are you asking to have temporary exclusive use of the vehicle that you have?
Yes.
And you're gonna have exclusive use of the home that you're living in?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you thought about an alternative location where you'd like to do pickups and drop-offs?
No, ma'am.
Is there a location that's about halfway between you and Jeff that you could think of, or shall I pick one for you?
Mm,
Is there, how far away do you two live from each other?
I'm not sure where he lives, so
Isn't it true that we gave you his address over a month ago?
he never gave me his address.
I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Anderson?
I'm gonna show you, and Judge, I can email this to the court and the parties if you like. I can put it up here in front of the camera just for right now. I'm gonna show her what's been, it's a text message. I can see if I can pull it up on maybe hard. The Zoom is hooked to a TV. I can't, I can try and hold it up to the, just make it clear.
Does Ms. Smythe have a copy of that document?
No, I do not, Your Honor. I'm gonna object to this.
Ms. Lawless, you've already stated what you want visitation and stuff to be, correct?
Yes,
2 hours supervised at the park, correct?
yes,
The Lions Park in Cedar, correct?
yes,
And if the judge was to order him to pick the child up, you would want it to be there, correct?
yes.
Has he ever sent you his address?
No,
He's got your number, correct?
yes,
He's never texted you his address, has he?
no.
That's what.
Ms. Smythe, anything else?
Ms. Lawless, isn't it true that Mr. Lawless has been giving you child support since June of 2019? Yes?
No, ma'am.
You're saying that he did not give you a direct sum of money every single month since June, from June 19th until we started litigation, and then he stopped.
No, ma'am. He did for just a few months, a month and a half, 2 months, and that's it.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Anderson, who's your next?
I would call Miss Guerrera.
Do I have to leave the room?
You'll actually come sit right here. It's
Diana.
You'll raise your right hand. Oh, wait, you've already.
She's been sworn, so you may proceed.
Okay.
Diana Guerrero.
Okay. Can you hear Miss Lozano?
Yes.
You'll need to speak clearly, speak words, no uhs or ums. And if Ms. Smythe objects, you'll just stop talking until we get a ruling, okay? All right, so can you state your name for the record?
Diana Guerrero.
And how are you a party to this case?
I'm Genesis Lawless mother.
Okay, so you're Hannah's grandma?
I'm Hannah's grandma.
Okay,
Correct.
all right. And do you know Jeffrey Lawless as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, how do you know Jeffrey?
He married my daughter,
Okay,
Genesis Lawless.
okay. And so you've seen the interactions between them while they were married, is that correct?
Correct.
And have you ever seen Jeffrey be violent toward Hannah, or toward Genesis?
A couple times.
Okay, what did you see?
Other arguments and hear the arguments.
Okay, and what did Jeffrey say to her that caused you concern?
His tone of voice, being loud and sound aggressive.
It appeared to you that he was aggressive?
Yes, correct.
And did you ever hear about any times from Genesis about any physical altercations?
Like I said, a couple times.
I'm gonna have to object, if she is not testifying from her own direct personal knowledge, then I'm gonna have to object on relevance.
Yep.
Just-
Judge, it's absolutely relevant, his conduct, and it's a statement by one of the parties, Judge.
Yeah, just, I guess if you can get a time frame or something to what she's talking about.
Okay, do you know a time frame of when she would tell you about these assaults?
Not exactly, but they used to live in my house.
Oh, they lived in your house?
Yes, they live in my house.
Okay, and so when they were living in your house, did you see or hear things that?
I would hear their arguments very loud.
Okay, all right. And was it Genesis being loud or Jeffrey being loud?
He would start being loud and, she would, you can hear she was responding back.
Okay, all right. Do you think that's a situation that Hannah needs to be around?
No, sir.
Okay, do you know when the last time Jeffrey has seen Hannah?
She was a couple months old,
Okay,
2 or 3 months.
okay, all right. And do you know if he's paid any child support to Genesis?
I think Genesis mentioned that he has helped her, I'm not exactly how much, but he was helping her. He must agree with an amount or something like that.
Okay. Now, if the judge was to order supervised visitation of the child in Mr. Lawless, and Genesis could not be there to supervise it, if it was in Sealy at a park, Lions Park, would you be able to supervise it for a couple hours?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you have any problem doing that?
Not at all.
Okay. Do you think that it would be in the best interest of the child to go with Jeffrey Lawless for a weekend and spend the night and all that?
No, sir.
Do you think it would be in the child's best interest to establish a relationship for a couple hours for a long period of time with Mr. Lawless at the park where it's fun and she has things to do?
Not with supervision.
With
I didn't
supervision?
understand the answer.
She said with supervision. Pass witness.
Ms. Smythe?
Let's see. Isn't it true that you are gonna do everything in your power to make sure that little Hannah doesn't spend time with Mr. Jeffrey Lawless and have a weekend visitation with her dad? Am I right? Is that correct?
Yeah, she's talking.
Can you repeat that question, please?
Isn't it true that you want to do everything in your power to make sure that Mr. Lawless doesn't have visitation with little Hannah?
No, ma'am. All we want is he can see the Hannah with somebody around.
But you want it to always be under your terms, right?
No, ma'am.
You're
We
not
just-
comfortable with him having a relationship with his daughter.
I'm sorry, we just want to come to an agreement for her own sake.
But he's never harmed Hannah in any way, has he?
There's a time that worried me, something that happened.
And you've never actually seen him put his hands on your daughter, am I correct?
No, ma'am, I've heard.
You won't even admit today that your daughter was also yelling, right?
I didn't hear that.
You don't even want to admit that your daughter was also yelling. You can't even admit that, can you?
She did say that.
Just, Ms. Guerrero, go ahead and try to answer the question.
Now
Was your
that
daughter also yelling?
I would, yeah, she not yelling like he was. No, ma'am.
But was she yelling, yes or no?
She was talking back to him, yes. There's a
Your
difference.
daughter, you don't think that your daughter does anything wrong, am I right?
No, I didn't say that. But
Well,
she
you
was
won't even-
she was scared of him.
You are here under oath and you will not even admit to the judge that your daughter was also yelling.
So she was yelling, she said?
That she was yelling. You won't even admit that.
Yelling. Yeah, I mean, I would, yeah, she would be talk back to him, but she was very scared of him too.
Okay, so when she's yelling, you call it talking back. Is that correct?
Yeah, because there's a difference between talking back and yelling and the way he was towards her.
And so because he yelled at your daughter, you want him to never be able to take his daughter out for visitation, correct?
No, that's not correct. That's not right. That is absolutely not right. Not
I'll
because
pass the witness.
no, because
Objection, narrative.
Objection sustained. Mr. Anderson, anything else?
Yeah, just briefly, maybe you were saying something. Go ahead and finish what you were saying.
yes. Oh, yes, I wanted to say because there was one time that I heard Jennison had left to the store, I believe it was, and I could hear Hannah crying. I was in my room and I could hear Hannah crying. Hannah was never being a
Objection. If he's gonna say she's gonna talk about what Hannah is saying, that is hearsay.
Hannah wasn't saying anything, Judge. She wasn't saying what Hannah was saying.
Okay. Just, Ms. Guerrero, just try to get to the point as to what are you talking about on this incident?
Yes, sir. I heard Hannah crying loud, which was kind of strange because Hannah was not a crybaby, like I said. Then Genesis texted me, telling me to check on Hannah because I think Jeb had texted her to come back home because Hannah was crying. Like she could hear her cry, like it was a different cry. So when I was walking to the room to check on her, I could tell she was getting hurt or something was happening to her. And I got really scared. I went to his room and knocked on the door and asked if the baby was okay. And he didn't want to open the door at first. He didn't want to open the door and knocking on the door for him to open the door. And he finally opened the door and I could tell Hannah was not okay. So I don't know if he was doing something to her to make Genesis come back home because he was very upset. And that's one of the things that worries me.
Did it appear to you that he could not take care of the child?
Yes, sorry.
Has he ever taken care of the child?
No, he falls asleep and Hannah cries and I don't know what he's doing or what he's on or what, but he falls asleep like he doesn't pay attention. The little short time that he was around, he never paid attention to her. It bothered him whenever she would cry a little bit, or needed a diaper change or something, or it would upset him.
That's what it is.
Ms. Smythe?
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. And Mr. Anderson, who's your next?
I'm gonna call Miss Buchanan. She's just a custodian of records for Fort Bend County.
Which one?
Over here.
Over there.
You'll go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Johanna Beefman.
Okay.
Objection, Judge, I'm going to make my objection at this time, once again, and re-urge that I did have a 194 that was filed in my original petition since December of 2020, and counsel has not given me notice of this witness. Neither has he proffered to me any affidavit of business records. So I haven't had, he's had many months to tender this information, and he's springing it on now.
Judge, we just got the business records affidavit with the business records today. So we've emailed them to Ms. Smythe. I'd just like to get her to testify to the authenticity of these records, and it'll be our exhibit 4.
And when did the email get sent to Ms. Smythe?
This morning we got it. We just got the records this morning. So if we would have been in person, she would have had it in person, but we just got the records. That's why I'm having to have her testify, Judge.
Your Honor, it was sent to me 6 minutes ago, and the exhibit to which it refers to is almost completely illegible.
Okay. Have you been able to bring up the record?
I'm looking at the email that he sent to me, Your Honor, and it's almost impossible to read. The print is so faint that only the second page is legible. The last and the first are not.
Guess. And how many pages are in that record, Mr. Anderson?
It's 82 pages, and then there's a CD and a DVD.
I've only been sent 3 pages, Your Honor. That's all I've been sent. It's exhibit 1, 2, and 3. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Anderson, is there a way that you can get the 82 pages to Ms. Smythe?
Yeah, I tell you what, Judge, we'll just go ahead and e-file everything in. We'll e-file the business records affidavit and all the records. And we'll get that done. We'll take this up at a fine. That's fine.
Right.
So.
All right. So do you have any other witnesses?
No, Judge. Can Miss Beekman go? Can she be released?
Yes. And so you're gonna, but you'll e-file her affidavit and the records?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, then she can leave. All right. So Mr. Anderson, do you have anybody else?
No, that's it, Judge.
It's Ms. Smythe. You may proceed.
I'd like to call Mr. Jeffrey Lawless.
Okay, you may.
Mr. Lawless, can you please unmute yourself and state your name for the record?
Judge, before we get started, can I have 2 seconds to get her a little bottle of water? She's not feeling well, so if it's okay.
All right. I'll tell you, well, let's take about a 10-minute break and then we'll come back. So come back about 10 after 10.
Okay.
All right, we ready to pick back up?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and one thing, just before we get started with Ms. Smythe's question, I have a question for Ms. Lawless. What time does Hannah typically go to bed?
She goes to bed around 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Okay. All right, thank you. So, Ms. Smythe, you may proceed.
Mr. Lawless, can you please state your name for the record?
Yes, it's Jeffrey Lawless.
And Mr. Lawless, you are here today because you want to be able to have visitation of your daughter Hannah.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, you heard the testimony from Miss Genesis Lawless, and were there some things that you thought were not correct?
Yes, as far as child support and the way that all the altercations actually happened were a little bit different.
Well, let's start with child support. Is it, could you trouble us to explain how often and when you did pay child support and how much it was?
Yes. Well, first of all, we originally split up February 5th of 2019. And then I originally started paying child support in June of 2019 until December of 2020, until
Okay.
we started the whole court ordeal. And I've got the cash apps to prove it and all that stuff. I keep a record of it. So there's that. As far as the altercations go, pretty much it was kind of, at least the first ordeal that she
Judge,
would
hold
bring
on.
up.
Oh, Judge, I'm gonna object to his computer going out. If he could get that going before he continues.
Yes, sorry. Jeffrey, can you fix your computer video? There you go.
Yeah, somebody called me, sorry.
Okay. Now,
All right.
specifically, you and Genesis, did you all ever have any screaming fights when you lived together?
Well, my biggest thing about the screaming fights was that I did not want to fight in front of Hannah. That's a no-go for me. But for some reason, she liked to continue the fight. I like to just leave it alone and carry on about my business. I don't like getting angry. I don't like doing any of that stuff. But there were a couple of instances where obviously there was, some argument or whatever. That's kind of in any relationship.
Now, you live a little bit far away, so that caused a problem, am I right?
Yes.
And when you would come for visitation, you've just straight up been denied?
Well, so my first thing was that I wanted to pretty much start doing like FaceTimes and stuff with Hannah. And then I wanted to start moving into the actual visitation, but it was always, no, you can, you have to do it here. You have to do it there when I'm available, this and that. So, obviously it never really worked out for as far as my schedule went.
So are you just trying to have some quality time with your daughter? Oh. Tell us, why are you here today?
Basically just to get the same fatherly rights in Texas that every other father has. They get, first, third, and fifth weekends and, the whole ordeal.
And
I'm not asking for anything more than what every other dad gets. So.
And we have here about 35 text messages between you and Genesis. Are you familiar with those text messages?
Yes, I'm the one that screenshotted them.
Yes, and you sent those to me and you didn't alter them in any way, did you?
Nope.
And they're clear and accurate and they represent exactly what the text message is purporting to be?
Yes.
Your Honor, I have sent a link for my exhibits P1 through 52 into the chat. And I'd like to offer P1 through P35 as chat messages from the other party, statements of a party opponent.
Judge, I'd like to see it at least first.
I've sent him a link as well, so he can check his email and check and click on the link, and he'll be able to see everything.
So I guess first see if Mr. Anderson's able to pull that up.
Are you ready? Do you want me to continue questioning?
I'm looking through.
Okay.
You can continue questioning.
Okay, Your Honor, I have here what's marked as P1 through P35, and I'd like to offer them into evidence as a statement of party opponent, Genesis Lawless.
Any objection? Any objection to P1 through P35?
Yes, Judge. Improper foundation, Judge. Can we get a time frame on these texts?
Sure. Jeffrey, these texts begin, they go back as far as which date until which date?
So basically, I mean, the date should be on the text messages. So let's see here. So they go back to November 4th at 6:38 p.m.
We know a year.
I mean,
You know what year, sir?
yeah, that would be 2020.
And it continues on until the most recent?
Yeah, so basically it moves all the way forward until we basically stopped talking when we decided to go through and get counsel and everything.
Okay.
It looks like I have a couple in here. For Mother's Day, I've got a couple text messages for Mother's Day, May 11th of 2020, May 15th, May 16th. That kind of stuff.
Okay.
So it July 12th, like it's kind of a little bit of, everything, just kind of like for Mother's Day, I paid for her to have a Mother's Day. I got her car fixed, that kind of stuff. So
Just, they really span the whole entire relationship.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'd like to offer P1 through 35.
Okay, so P1 through P35 are admitted.
Okay. Now, Mr. Lawless, is there any truth that during this time since you and she broke up that you haven't been in contact?
I mean, until the December deal where we got counsel, I mean, normally I'd always check on Hannah. I'd always ask her how she's doing. I've tried FaceTiming a couple of times. Genesis just seems like she gets aggravated and pissed off that I'm trying to be in her life whatsoever. So those never really worked out very well. She just told me that, well, if she doesn't want to talk to you, then I'm not going to force her to talk to you, type of deal. So I kind of...
You and Genesis are able to co-parent for the most part and have been successfully over text message. Is that correct? Or
And not so much being able to co-parent. It was more of basically I give her money and she takes care of the kid, and that was pretty much it. And she was happy with that. So there wasn't any problems until I tried to get involved.
okay. And so is she helping you in any way to have visitation with your child?
No, never. The only time is just pretty much, oh, you can do it, but it's going to be supervised and it's going to be for this period of time, and that's it. And you'll never take her overnight. You'll never do this. So.
And is there any alienation going on here?
I mean, I would imagine, yeah, for the most part.
So you haven't been able to see your child, and when you do go, what does she do?
Well, I mean, I haven't seen her since she was 10 months old. That's originally when we split up. So she wasn't just a couple of months old. She was like 10 months because, you know, I had helped her with her birthday party, paying for it and all that stuff when she turned a year old.
And you're okay with starting things off slow with maybe just, you know, for the first month.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Something like just Saturdays from maybe 10 to 6, and then maybe month 2 we could move into Saturday and Sunday. 10 to
absolutely.
6.
And I mean, I realize that I've been out of the picture for 2 years and that I need to build that trust with her, obviously.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if whatever there is to work out, then that's what I'm willing to do.
Okay, and you understand that you want to have a standard possession order, but you'll do whatever it takes to get back on track with your daughter.
Yes, absolutely.
And child support wise, you have always maintained that you have paid child support.
I've always anytime that she ever asked me for money, I gave it with no questions asked. She sent me a Cash App request, I sent her the money.
And so has that ever been an issue?
That was never an issue for me, no.
Okay, and Miss Lawless, I mean, will she ever meet you halfway, or does she insist that you come to hers?
Well, pretty much we never had the discussion, but the way that it went before, when they were giving their testimony, I feel that she would not meet me halfway. So there's that.
And what about the daycare and medical? Will she give you any of that information?
I have no idea where she goes to daycare, and the only thing I know is she's on Medicaid, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, and would you like to be able to
I tried putting her on my insurance, but she would not give me her social security number to put her on my insurance. So.
And at your house, you have a beautiful room for little Hannah, don't you?
I do, yeah.
And we have a picture of that room at P45, Your Honor. I'd like to, I guess, approach the witness on P45.
You may.
Mr. Lawless, did you take this picture of P45 of Hannah's room?
I did. Yes, ma'am.
And has this picture been altered in any way?
No, that's the way it sits today.
And is that picture an accurate depiction of what it purports to show?
Yeah, so that whole room is dedicated to Hannah. I mean, we've got like chalkboards, we've got drawing boards, we've got all kinds of stuff. You know, we've got toys, we've got everything. So there's nothing that she would really lack as far as that goes.
Your Honor, I'd like to offer Petitioner's Exhibit 45 into evidence.
No objection.
P45 is admitted.
Now, you aren't trying to say that Miss Lawless is a bad mother, correct?
No, I've never once told anybody that she's a bad mother. I think she's a great mother.
Are you trying to set some kind of definitive schedule?
I do. I just want, a regular deal that every father gets in Texas. You know what I mean? I want my fatherly rights.
And are you committed to the best well-being for your child?
Absolutely.
And what plans do you have, if any, to help support your child and help be there for her financially and outside of child support?
Well, there's obviously, you pay your child support, and then obviously when she's with me, anything that she needs, obviously I cover that. And any other expenses, I'm willing to go half and half with the mother on that. So.
And if Hannah's going to be doing some extracurriculars, are you wanting to be able to enroll her and also, help pay for that too?
Yeah, absolutely. That's my job as a father, so.
Okay, but the most important thing for you is to finally get back on track and get some visitation.
Yes. I want to make up for lost time, so.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Anderson?
Thank you. Jeffrey, where do you work at, sir?
I work at an apartment complex. I'm a maintenance supervisor there.
Okay. And how, do you get paid once a week?
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks? Okay. Your attorney sent over what's been marked as P47 at your pay stubs. You aware of that?
P47, I believe those are my old pay stubs. I no longer work at that job.
Okay. This is from November of 2020, sir, correct?
Yeah. I no longer work there.
Okay. But you did work there, correct?
Yeah, I did work there. Yeah.
Okay. And what was that company?
That was it's a company called Quick Trip.
Okay. And did you get paid every week at that point?
I did get paid every week at that point. Yes.
Okay. And when did you stop working there?
I stopped working there at the beginning of March.
Okay. And you made roughly $1,000 a week there, correct?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay. In fact, one of your pay stubs says $1,038.87 net, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And another one, would you agree with me that it says $1,045.51?
Yes. My old pay stub, yeah.
Yeah. So up until March, you were making about $1,000 a week.
Around there, yeah.
And how much do you make now?
I make $20 an hour, so that's $1,600 before taxes every 2 weeks.
So you make $3,200 gross every month?
Gross, yeah, before taxes.
Okay, so you would be okay with the court ordering 20% based on your gross, correct? For child
Not, I mean, as long as they take out obviously for taxes and everything else, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so if the guideline is based on, if the guideline is based off of, they take your gross minus a few things, and then based on your net minus those things, then it would be 20% of that. You're okay with that, correct?
Yeah, they'll need to add in my union dues as well. I've already looked at the Texas child support calculator, so.
Do you have those pay stubs
For what?
for your new company?
Yeah, I do. I sent over the pay stubs and I sent over my offer letter as well.
Okay. Because the only pay stubs that show up are the ones from the old company.
Okay.
I have
Let's
some
see
new ones.
here.
I'll forward those.
Yeah, send those over.
So, sir, are you saying that the cops never got called out for assault on you in Fort Bend?
It wasn't really for assault, but yes, they did come out.
Okay. You're saying it wasn't for assault though?
No.
So they were never called out according to you for assault?
They weren't called out for assault. There was no criminal charges on me whatsoever. So no, it was not assault.
Did you ever tell Genesis that you're going to turn me into one of those people that end up killing their whole family?
That does not sound like something I would say, no. But possibly.
So possible, or no, you didn't say that?
I mean, I don't recall what I said back then. Obviously, that's why we're getting divorced, because we were not compatible together.
Did you say it or not, sir?
I don't know. I mean, if you have the text message there, then I said it, but I don't know if I said it or not.
All right. Did you also tell her you're never going to have sex with me anyway, so it doesn't matter if I'm near you or not?
Objection, relevance?
Objection overruled.
Did you say it or not, sir?
That part of it, yeah, I probably did. We did have a little bit of intimacy issues.
Okay. Did you ever ask Genesis if her mom will adopt Hannah?
I did. I believe that was right around the time that we first split up.
Okay. So you didn't even want anything to do with Hannah, isn't that correct?
No, it was more of an issue of.
Objection, non-responsive, Judge.
Objection sustained.
Sir, I'm going to ask you some questions, yes or no, okay? And then your attorney will
Okay.
come and ask you more questions, okay?
All right.
So it's true that you asked Genesis for if her mom would adopt Hannah, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So isn't it also true that at that time you didn't want anything to do with Hannah, which is why you asked her mom to adopt Hannah?
No, I didn't want anything to do with Genesis.
Objection, non-responsive. You didn't want anything to do with her then?
With the mother, no. I wanted something to do with my daughter, but not her mother.
But yet you asked her if her mom would adopt Hannah, because then you wouldn't have any right to Hannah, correct?
Well, it was more of a not having to deal with her mother.
Okay. But yet you wanted her mom to adopt her. Right?
Objection, asked and answered.
Yeah, okay, objection sustained.
In fact, didn't you tell Genesis, find somebody to adopt Hannah so I can be out of y'all's life? I'll sign over my rights.
Yes, that's pretty much wanting to get out of the marriage. I didn't want anything to do with the marriage anymore. It had nothing to do with Hannah.
Objection, non-responsive.
Objection
That is
sustained.
responsive.
You didn't want anything to do with Hannah, so you're willing to sign her rights away, and then that would free you from all obligation to Genesis, Hannah, and anybody involved in Hannah's life, right?
At the beginning of it, that's the route I was probably wanting to go.
Okay, thank you. Sir, did you say you heard the testimony that Genesis gave about you saying racial comments to her? Is that correct?
I did hear it, yeah.
Okay. Isn't it true that you made racial comments to her regularly?
Not regularly, maybe a time or two.
Okay. In fact, isn't it true you said, I'm literally so tired of arguing over monkeys?
Sounds about right, yeah.
Objection, objection relevance.
Objection overruled.
What'd you say, sir?
I probably did say that, yeah.
And isn't it true, you also said, why are you talking about black guys then?
What is this in reference to?
Did you say that or did you not say that?
How am I supposed to know if I said it?
Do you know if you said it or not?
I mean, I can't recall one specific text message.
You were referring to black people as monkeys, correct?
At one point I did, yeah. And then you grow up.
Do you think it's appropriate to be using that kind of language around your daughter?
I wouldn't use it around my daughter.
Do you think it's appropriate to use it at all?
Back then, a couple of years ago, I didn't care. I care now. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's completely different.
Is it fair to say you were racist back then?
Back then, I wasn't racist. I just had my own opinions, just like everybody else does in the country.
So referring to a human race as a monkey, you don't believe is racist. Is that correct, sir?
I mean, back then, yeah, that would be racist, but
So
I don't say
you're-
that. So
Okay. And you realize, sir, that your daughter is multiracial, correct?
my daughter is half Hispanic and half white. Yes, I realize she is multiracial.
Okay. So do you think that the way you act toward other races is appropriate when raising your daughter?
Again, you're talking about stuff that happened over 2 years ago. That's not today.
So how is this court supposed to believe that you just automatically changed today? When
It
you've done it over
isn't
and
changing
over again,
today.
sir?
Your time, please.
Objection, argumentative.
Objection sustained.
It's 2 years of growing as a person
Question,
versus
sir.
being.
Objection to sidebar and rambling.
Objection sustained.
Sir, did you say that you have proof that you've paid her throughout the year?
Yes, I have all of the Cash App requests. I have all of that stuff since June 2019, all the way up till December of 2020.
Did you bring those today?
I did not bring those today, but I have them. I'm about to shoot them over to Lauren here in a few minutes.
Okay. So did you think that it would have been important to send those today to prove that you have been paying, since that's your claim?
Well, considering she has Snapchat as well, I mean, she could have did the same thing. You know what I
This is
mean?
not responsive, Judge.
Objection
But
sustained.
yes,
Pass away.
All right, Ms. Smythe.
Um, Jeff, your ex and her family are not always on their best behavior. Am I right?
yes.
So give us some examples of any concerns you have about Genesis.
Well, I mean, just living in that kind of atmosphere, I don't believe would be conducive to a child anyways. There's a lot of drinking, a lot of partying, a lot of fights that break out.
Speculation, Judge.
Okay, well, he could just testify as to what he has seen.
Can I take him on board, Dyer?
You may.
So, Jeffrey, have you been to her home where she lives?
Yeah, we were married.
In Sealy, the one in Sealy, you've been there.
Yes.
This current one.
Yes, on 2017 Angel Cove Lane. Yes, I have been there.
Okay.
That's her parents' home.
And so when's the last time you lived there?
It was 2 months prior to Hannah being born. So during my bonding leave, we stayed there. So that was March, April, May. And then we were gone at the end of May.
May of what year, sir?
2018.
You said it was 2 months prior to Hannah being born, correct?
Or 2 months after Hannah being born, I'm sorry.
Okay. So all the testimony you're about to give is from it would be
That's
from May 2018 and forward.
That's just since me and her have met at the beginning of 2017 until we split up.
So your testimony will be from May of 2018 to 2017, is that correct?
No, it'll be from January 2017 until May of 2018.
2018 or 19?
2018, or I guess it can go all the way into 19, but we were only together until February.
Were you?
So we'll just do it this way. We'll do it January.
No, sir. Sir, we're going to do it the way we're going to do it, the way me and counsel ask you questions. You're just answering questions.
Nope.
You understand that, sir?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Okay, so you only lived with her in 2017 and up till March, April, possibly May of 2018, correct?
Yeah, during my bonding leave.
Okay, after that, you didn't live with her, right?
Yeah, but we visited pretty regularly.
Did you live in the house? Did you stay in the house? Any of that?
Well, considering we were there
Yes or
pretty
no,
much
sir? It's yes or no?
No, I didn't live there except for the 2 months.
Okay. So then your testimony will be about the 2 months you lived in there, correct?
No, it's going to be about all the times we visited as well.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Smythe. I'll follow up.
Okay. What did you witness that gave you cause for concern?
Well, so basically there was multiple times there was altercations between, two family members or friends or whatever, I personally witnessed them where I was sitting at a chair in the garage, just eating or whatever, and then they break out into a fight, that kind of stuff. I mean, there's a constant, always parties and stuff like that, you know what I mean? A lot of drinking, that kind of stuff. So it does probably get a little wild, you know what I mean? But either way, Hannah's still at that house, and that does happen while Hannah is there. So that is a cause for concern.
So you're saying that they throw a house parties?
Yeah, pretty regularly, where they get together and have a barbecue or whatever, and the family members cook, and they hang out and do stuff.
How many times are you saying that you've seen actual physical altercations break out?
I've probably seen a minimum of 3 or 4 or 5.
So you don't feel that Hannah and her mom sorry, do you feel that Hannah and her mom are a little bit hysterical?
I don't think Genesis is hysterical, but I mean, as for Hannah, I mean, she's 3, so.
And is there anything that she's done, Genesis, that is disturbing?
As far as her being a mother, I think she's a top-notch mother. There's nothing I can say that's bad about her.
And are you hoping to get some proper quality time with your child?
Yes, that's all I'm rooting for.
You just want to get back on track and make sure that she's taken care of in every way?
Yes, absolutely.
And why is that important to you? Why should the judge give you that visitation?
Because, I mean, I am her father. I do have this is Texas. You do have a legal obligation to uphold, a father's right. You know what I mean? I'm not a felon. I'm not, a criminal. I mean, even criminals get fatherly rights. So, why can I not get fatherly rights? And I haven't done anything wrong.
And you were not charged with any kind of offense, were you?
No.
Okay, that's all I have, Your Honor.
Mr. Anderson?
Thank you. Sir, do you think barbecues and cookouts are bad?
No.
Okay, all right. Now, can you name for me who these people were that you supposedly claim got into a fight?
I know that the brother-in-law and
Sir, do you have a name?
I believe his name was Jose.
Jose what?
I don't know. He barely spoke English, so I never really talked to him that much.
Okay. So can you describe any of these other fights and who they were?
Just, I mean, people that were at the party. It wasn't like her dad and the mother and everybody else was getting into it. It was just random people that were there at the party, that caused the altercations.
Pretty convenient when you say that you're in the middle of a custody hearing and You don't know who the name is, the people, but you're gonna try and say that the house is a bad place to be because there's a fight with people you don't know, right?
I'm not saying the house is a bad place to be. I never once said that. I'm just saying I have observed
This
physical
provides a
occupation.
safe and stable home.
I mean, there's been times where there's
Objection,
been,
non-responsive. Judge,
Objection sustained.
sir, do you think that Genesis provides a safe and stable home? Yes or no?
no,
And that's based on these accusations that you can't give us a name of anybody. You have no idea who they are. It's just convenient for today, correct?
no, that's based on based on pretty much how many people she's told me that lives in the home on top of her and Hannah.
Okay. And how many people did she say live in the home?
It's been a couple of months. I'm not sure if they're still there anymore, but it was like the cousins and the aunt and, obviously the mom and dad, that kind of stuff, plus her and Hannah. So, I mean, you're looking at 8 or 9 people probably.
Okay, so the judge, if we recall Miss Lawless, she could tell us who all lives in the home, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, she lives there. She should be able to.
Okay. Now, the last time you were there, though, was March, April, or May of 2018. That's when that would have happened, those occurrences, right?
They weren't living there at that time. There was a text messages on my old phone that I have where she had told me that they were living there. And,
Okay, I want to re-ask the question.
yeah. So this supposed fighting that you say you would have seen because you were sitting in a chair would have been from 2017 or March, April, or May of 2018, right?
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Almost 3 years ago, over 3 years ago. Right?
Yes.
Before Genesis or before Hannah was even born, right?
That wasn't before she was born.
She was born in March of 2018, was she not, sir?
She was born March 1st of 2018, yeah.
Okay. But you don't know an exact date when that happened, do you?
I'm pretty sure it was.
Do you know of an exact date?
I don't have an exact date, no, but I can give you a time frame.
Well, you already gave us a time frame. You said it was either in 2017 or between March, April, or May of 2018, but you weren't sure. That's what you told us.
But either way, she was
Right?
either.
That's what you told us earlier, correct, sir?
Yeah, and that's what happened.
Okay. All right. Now, isn't it also true you haven't seen your daughter in a couple of years?
Yes.
Objection, asked and answered.
Objection overruled.
So do you think it would be right to just force your daughter to come live with you when you haven't seen her in years?
I'm not asking for that.
Okay, all right. And you wanted to talk about upholding a fatherly right. Isn't that what, those are your exact words, right?
Yeah.
However, you wanted to terminate your fatherly right not too long ago. Isn't that true?
That wasn't not too long ago. That was 2 years ago.
Okay. Well, 2 years ago, you wanted to terminate your fatherly right, did you not?
No, I wanted to be completely away from the family and her.
And in order to do that, you were willing to let somebody else adopt your daughter and terminate your rights. That was your words, not mine. Is that correct?
Well, it was a bad time.
Objection, asked and answered.
Objection sustained.
Pass the witness.
Ms. Smythe?
Mr. Lawless, the point is that how many bedrooms were in that house where Genesis Lawless lives?
There were 3, and then there was 1 bedroom in the far back by the far restroom that was just full of all kinds of I'm not going to say junk, but there was beds and TVs. I mean, it was pretty much stacked all the way to the ceiling. So nobody was going to be able to obviously live in that room. So you really only had 3 bedrooms in the house.
And is it your, understanding that your daughter does not even have her own room? Am I correct?
That I don't know of, but I'm pretty positive she probably does not have her own room.
And what about her own bed? Does she even have her own bed?
Objection, speculation, Judge.
Okay, objection sustained.
Okay. But at your house, she will have her own room.
She will have her own room. She will have her own bathroom. I mean, everything.
And she will be able to come and be comfortable with you? Have you made it comfortable for her?
Yeah, I mean, I've put in a lot of research as to how to do her room. So the toys, I've Googled everything. I've got the best stuff for her. So it should be pretty comfortable for her.
And will you be able to spend time cooking with her and preparing food to feed her?
Yes, absolutely.
And what will your daily routine be like?
Well, it would basically, I would have to get with her mother as far as what Hannah truly likes, and then I can plan based on that.
Mm-hmm. So breakfast wise, you're prepared to get her something prepared?
Yes, absolutely.
And then what about taking her out and helping her explore? What are you planning to do?
I mean, we've got so many parks and trails. We've got the zoo. We've got all kinds of stuff that are kid friendly and easy to do. Pretty much, I like doing a lot of outside stuff, and I'd prefer Hannah to be able to get outside and travel and do stuff. As far as obviously vacations or doing anything, I would postpone those until I had her. That way she could go with me. I do like to travel a lot, so there's always that. But even in the San Antonio area, there's a lot to do with a child, so I'm looking forward to it.
What about the library? Will you be able to take her and to get her card and take her to get books?
Oh, absolutely.
And what if anything, are you going to do for her education wise?
So my whole goal was to put her in a Montessori school. That way she could get the best education, at least for her age. And then, that way she could be, on a top tier, and it would give her just a head start when she goes into kindergarten and everything else.
And would you like to be able to pick up and drop off to daycare?
Judge,
I would, yes, ma'am.
Judge, the line of questioning she's asking is for if the child lived with him on a permanent basis, and they haven't even pled that or asking for that, Judge. So
Okay, well, I'll let her go ahead and ask the question. So objections over.
Okay. How about scheduling? Do you have some kind of a schedule prepared for your child?
Yes, I mean, obviously it would be a little bit similar to what I have. Obviously, get up 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, eat breakfast, do lunch, do dinner. She'd be in bed by 7:30, 8 o'clock at the latest, that kind of stuff. So,
what damage has been done to you? How do you feel about not being able to see your child?
Well, I mean, obviously it does suck, and I did get counseling for that to try to help out a little bit. So, it has been working.
Whatever happened in the beginning, was that in relation to the DNA test, or is that what was going on at that time, or?
That was strictly from obviously me and Hannah's mother, the arguments and everything else. I just wanted to be done. I didn't want nothing else to do with the relationship or the marriage. I wanted to be out completely. And it had nothing to do with Hannah. It was strictly all on the mother. But obviously we've moved past that. So.
Okay. And you are desperate to get back in Hannah's life and just be a good dad again.
I am. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Anderson.
Sir, what's your address right now?
17239 Chavano Ranch, San Antonio, Texas.
17239, and what is it?
Chavano Ranch.
Can you spell that?
Yeah, SHAVANO, and then ranch is RANCH,
Okay.
and then that's San Antonio, Texas, 78257.
If the judge orders supervised visitation at the Lions Park in Sealy for a couple hours so that y'all can get reconnected, if he thinks that's in the best interest of the child, do you have any problem doing that?
It would more depend on who was going to be the supervisor.
So do you have a problem seeing your child there at the park, playing at the park, if Miss Lawless was there or somebody she designates that's competent to watch you interact with the child and that the child's comfortable with? Do you have a problem with that?
I don't know if I would be comfortable with who she designates or her being there.
Sir, if they're not interacting with your time, if they're just bringing the child and you're visiting with the child at the park, is it a problem to have the visitation?
Well, if it's going to be supervised and there's going to be written reports and everything else, I wouldn't want the reports coming from them. I would want them coming from somebody else that's a professional.
So you would rather have it at a place where you have to pay and set up an appointment?
I mean, if that's the way that I had to do it, I would do it.
So you would rather drive to Katy and have a visitation there?
That would be more doable, yeah.
Okay, all right. So you're saying all that stuff, all those things that you said weren't about Hannah, the adoption and all that. You're saying that wasn't about Hannah?
That wasn't about Hannah. That was wanting to get away from just the situation in general.
So you're willing to give up Hannah to get away from the situation in general, but it wasn't about her, right?
I'm not willing to give her up.
Okay. So do you have a different interpretation of what adopt means in the standard
No.
adopt?
But you got to realize at the time.
Non-responsive after no.
Objection sustained.
I pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Smythe.
Mr. Lawless, you don't mind doing a little supervised if it means to you eventually getting some proper, normal, standard possession order visitation. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, it's some temporary supervised. That's never been an issue for you. Am I correct?
No, the only thing is that if it's going to be something that's reported back to the court or anything like that, obviously I want, something like that, but.
No, and if it wasn't anything like that, it's just for, you to get some time with Hannah. I mean, you just do whatever you need to do. Am I right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because for you, Hannah is coming first.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was your point when you were saying that you would be willing to, sorry, was that your point when you were saying you would be willing to do supervised?
Yes.
You do not want to do, supervised, or do you?
I would prefer not to, but I do understand that I've been out of Hannah's life for 2 years, so I have to build that trust.
But you do want to have a road that gets you to ultimately having that good standard possession order visitation. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. That's the end goal.
But you'll do whatever you need to do. If supervised or not, you will do it.
I will do it, yes.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Hey, Mr. Anderson.
Yes, just briefly, Judge. So based on what you just said, you'll do whatever it is to prove to this court that including supervised visitation, right?
I will do it, yeah.
Okay. And would you do supervised for 8 months to a year to prove to this court that Hannah has a good connection with you and everything is good to go since she hasn't had a connection with you? Would you be willing to do supervised visitation for a year to prove that?
For a year, I mean, I don't think it would.
Stop making faces and shaking her head at the witness.
Okay,
She's leading the witness with answers.
well, let's just go ahead with the questions.
I mean, I don't feel that it would take that long in any way, shape, or form. I mean, that's a little kind of absurd, but.
So isn't it also absurd that you've been out of her life for 2 years or more?
I mean, yeah, it is a little.
And are you
It's bad on my
child
part.
counselor?
Am I a child counselor?
Yes.
No.
Have you done studies on the effects of children and how long it takes for them to regain a bond with a parent after being left with or without seeing the parent for a couple of years?
I've done
Objection,
research on it.
improper, hypothetical.
Objection sustained.
So, sir, you don't know this child. You don't know what it would take for her to be comfortable to go with you, do you?
I mean, no, I don't.
Objection,
Until I get.
improper, hypothetical.
Objection overruled.
Isn't it fair to say it's going to take longer than 6 months for a couple for you to see the child and for her to regain some sort of bond and trust to go with you for a long period of time?
No, it's not fair to say it'll take longer than 6 months.
That's what it is.
Ms. Smythe?
Mr. Lawless, you were hoping more like maybe 3 months or 6 months. What were you thinking?
Well, the original Rule 11 that.
Objection to
Obviously-
settlement negotiations, Judge.
Okay, objection sustained.
Just give us what you want to ask the judge in terms
I
of.
was figuring Saturday and Sunday for 3 months and a maximum of 6 months.
Okay, before you move on to having pickup
Overnight
Friday.
visits. Yep.
Okay, standard possession order.
Yep.
And you do want to be able to have a spring break and alternating Christmas and Thanksgiving holidays and summer holidays?
And summers and all that. Yes.
Okay, I'll pass the witness.
Okay, Mr. Anderson?
You realize summer's coming up in about a month, right?
I do. Yeah. Yep.
So you're not asking this court for summer visitation this summer, right?
Not this summer. Probably not. No, I don't think that would be a feasible deal.
And you've never had Hannah overnight since y'all split up, have you?
No, I have not seen Hannah since we split up.
Okay. All right. And she was a couple months old when y'all split up, isn't that true?
She was 10 months old, 10 and a half months.
You actually said that you haven't lived in the house that Genesis lives at since May of 2018, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay. And so May of 2018 and Hannah was born the first part of March. of 2018. So that would be 3 months old when you left, right?
We didn't split up
Yes.
until February.
Sir, did you
No,
leave
that-
the house when she was 3 months old?
We moved to Austin.
Okay. Pass the witness.
Okay, Ms. Smythe?
Jeffrey, is there any reasoning that can explain why you went so long without being able to see your daughter?
Basically the simple fact of that goes from previous experience with my last child. They kind of just up and left me in the middle of the night. And I never truly like found peace with that, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so I did counseling and stuff like that, and now I'm back on a good level where I can be a good dad,
Mhm.
because that was a big part of my life that I never truly actually grieved properly over. And now that that's done and over with, I can at least move forward and start my life over.
You have what efforts have you made, if any, to try to see your daughter?
Well, I've tried doing some FaceTime calls. I've talked to her about it multiple times. But everything always boils down to pretty much wanting it on her terms and not me ever, having my own time with Hannah whatsoever. She is okay with taking my money, but she's not okay with spending time with my daughter alone.
So who has made it impossible for you to see your daughter?
Pretty much just trying to work it out with her mother. It's been absolutely impossible.
And if you're not going to be with her, then, I mean, you can't see your daughter?
That's basically how it kind of seems, unless she's always going to be there all the time for supervised visitation, or for Hannah's entire life.
Okay, that's all I have, Your Honor.
Mr. Anderson?
Just briefly, you said you had another child?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And isn't it true you terminated your rights to that child?
That wasn't my fault. There was nothing that I could do about
Objection,
that.
non-responsive, Judge.
Objection sustained.
Sir, it's a yes or no question. Did you terminate your rights to that child? Yes or no?
No, I didn't. I got a letter in the mail saying that my rights were terminated because she got married and the guy adopted my daughter.
So your rights were terminated, correct?
They were, yes.
In Texas?
In Texas, yes.
Okay. So did you sign a voluntary relinquishment of parental rights?
And no, I didn't. It defaulted. I never got the letter.
So you just didn't show up?
I didn't even know about it.
So you already had one kid rights terminated against you, and you offered to terminate these rights of this child. Isn't that true?
Well, either way, I wouldn't have terminated my
Yes
rights
or no?
to her, so.
Yes or no, correct? You offered to terminate these rights.
I'm not going to say yes to that.
Did you not send her
It's a text message.
Did you not send her a text saying, I'll sign over my rights?
I did, yeah, but it's all it is a text
All right,
message.
Objection non-responsive after I did.
Objection sustained.
So, never mind, I pass the witness after that.
Yeah, Ms. Smythe?
So, Mr. Lawless, you've gone through grievance counseling for what happened the first time. You
Objection,
mentioned
lady.
that.
Objection's overruled.
When was that?
That was here about 4 months ago, because I finally found me somebody that I could really talk to and really explain what had happened. And I didn't realize that it bothered me that bad either. So, and that was a 9-year ordeal. So, I definitely needed help on that side, and I found it, and I'm a lot better off.
And what kind of wake-up call was that for you?
It was huge. It was able to finally, get rid of that, weight that was on my shoulders for the last 9 years. And I was able to kind of move on with my life, be happier.
And are you just throwing yourself at the mercy of this court? Are you trying to do better?
I am. That's my whole thing, is getting better and being a better person. Who I was 2 years ago is not who I am today.
And you may have said some things at the time, but did you mean it?
I mean, as far at the moment, just in the spur of the moment deal, I mean, people say stupid stuff. Obviously, it's not what I meant. So
I'll pass the witness.
No further questions for this witness, Judge.
Okay, and I can follow up if I need to with Ms. Lawless, but to Mr. Lawless, is there really any property that the two of you own that has to be divided?
Just the 2014 Jeep that she currently has possession of. I need it out of my name. That's the only thing.
Okay, and any other property that was purchased while you were married?
No, just the Jeep.
Okay. Either one of you have any retirement accounts or anything like that that has to be divided?
No, we haven't been married that long, so.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Ms. Smythe, anything else?
No, Your Honor, we'll rest and close.
Judge, if I could recall Miss Lawless just to give the court an idea of who's living in the house and how many people.
And we won't need to do that now, but in your opening, Mr. Anderson, you mentioned that she wanted to get a car, I think. And is that the Jeep that you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And let me ask the same question to Ms. Lawless. Is there any other, community property that is been obtained that has to be divided in this case?
No, sir.
And is that, who pays for the insurance on that Jeep?
I do, sir.
And are you still making payments on that Jeep?
Yes, sir.
And who makes those payments?
I do.
All right, so I know when Ms. Smythe introduced some exhibits, she had them marked as petitioner's exhibits. I think, Mr. Anderson, Janice is the petitioner, isn't she?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, so unless there's an agreement, typically I have the attorney for the petitioner prepare the temporary orders. So Ms. Smythe, any objection to that or?
No, Your Honor, I'd be more than happy.
Okay, so you want to do it or you want Mr. Anderson to?
I'm happy to do it.
Okay, so then I'll ask Mr. Anderson, any objection? Ms. Smythe does the
Not at
temporary?
all, Judge. Not at all.
All right. And so Ms. Smythe, how much time would you need to get the temporary orders?
I think 7 days would be more than enough time for us to tender it back and forth.
How about, it was like May 3rd, going to be enough time for entry?
Let's see here. May 3rd. I have a mediation that day, but I can definitely have it ready before then, way before then.
Okay, we'll just have May 3rd as the entry date. So if it gets turned in earlier than that, that's fine.
Okay, at what time, Your Honor? 8:30?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, okay.
All right, so I'll read the temporary orders into the record, and just for both Mr. Lawless and Miss Lawless, your attorneys can explain to you, but a temporary order is just something that's in place until we get to a final. This is not a final order, and we can modify this thing if we need to. I mean, I can just tell people ahead of time we need to set up a stair-step visitation, and so we may have to come back in a month or two and modify it depending on how things are working. But and also it's my understanding that the only potential piece of community property is the Jeep, which, I'm going to award to Miss Lawless. So if there's no community property, this is just totally going to be down to an issue on, visitation for Hannah. Is that right, Mr. Anderson? Is that what this whole case is really about?
Yes, yes.
And Ms. Smythe, is that really what this case is going to be about?
And also geographic restriction, Your Honor.
Right. But I mean,
That's
seeing,
it.
seeing Hannah, that's it. So we don't have to worry
Yes.
about property issues. Okay. Okay. Well, again, and with that said, I'm going to,
Judge, before you get, since we were talking about the Jeep real quick, so if that's the case, can we go ahead and get some documents, like power of attorneys for title transfer for the Jeep then done, if that's okay with Ms. Smythe, to where that's out of the way?
I'd be happy to draft that, Your Honor. We'll draft a POA and if possible, some kind of a securing, I guess, that she can, so long as she could refinance, maybe between 6 and 9 months.
Well, I mean, I don't know about the refinancing of the car, but
Well, my client wants to get it out of his name, so we would like for it to be refinanced. Otherwise, sold and she can keep it.
if she's able to refinance it, I'm sure she would, but that's up to the lenders, not.
Well, I don't think a
Well-
deed to secure the lien would work, so I don't see any other way, but.
well,
She.
well, was what I say, Mr. Laws, for temporary orders, I'm jumping ahead, but I'm going to give, Miss Lawless possession of the Jeep. She'll be ordered to make the payments. She'll be ordered to keep the insurance. Again, the ideal is that she either refinances it or, sells it, something like that. That would be the ideal, but I have no idea how much is owed and what it's worth and all that. So that'll be something that hopefully in the next few months can get worked out. But as far as temporary orders, and I guess Ms. Smythe, just tell me if I need to slow down if you're just writing this down. But appoint the parties as joint managing conservators of Hannah. Genesis Lawless will be the primary custodian of the child. And so she can establish a geographic restriction for the child. And for right now, that'll be restricted to Austin County, Texas.
And contiguous or just Austin County?
Right now, let's just have it be Austin County. And and again, just more for the parties. Again, this is a temporary order. Right now, I'm just saying that she just stays in Austin County. When we get to a final, that can change, but we're just talking about temporary orders right now. Okay, Mr. Lawless will pay child support, the amount of $400 a month beginning May 1st. And that'll be paid through the Child Support Disbursement Unit. Both, Mr. Lawless and Miss Lawless need to have a good contact telephone for each other. And so that's, the parties can exchange that. We may not want to do it over a Zoom, but have the attorneys exchange phone numbers with each other and confirm that's a good number, and the parties are not to block that number. And there'll be a standard injunction I'll talk about later on, that the phone calls should be used just to text each other about Hannah, not for harassing and unreasonable times and things like that. Okay, so I'm going to try starting off at least with a stair-step visitation. And what we're going to start off with is that Mr. Lawless is going to get some visitation on the 1st, 3rd, and 5th Saturdays of the month. beginning May 1st. Okay, it'd be between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. And we're going to start at an outside park that's in Columbus, Texas. And I'll have to look it up, but it's referred to as the Midtown Park. And it's in between Dewey's Street, which is Dewees, and Prairie Street, Prairie. Okay, and then Mr. Lawless will, text Miss Lawless and confirm the day before. So on the Friday before by 6 p.m., he's going to text to confirm that he'll be there for the visitation with the child. And while he's there at that visitation at the park, he's not to leave the park with the child. The mother, Genesis Lawless, she can show up. She can bring one other person if she wants to. But both Genesis Lawless and the other person that she brings, leave some of this to Miss Smythe's construction. But the general idea here is if they want to be there and kind of watch what's happening, that's okay. But they're not supposed to be, on top of Mr. Lawless and the child. So, we can either say, they'll stay in the car, or if they want to be, walking around the park, but probably keep some distance, 50 yards away or something like that. Again, the idea is going to be during this couple hours of visitation, again, that Mr. Lawless and Hannah will be able to interact in the park. The park has playground equipment and has a covered area. So if Mr. Lawless wants to bring things along, he can do that. If he wants to, again, play on the equipment, he can do that with Hannah. And then, Mr. Lawless, if he wants to, he can also bring another person along. If there's, family members or something like that want to start meeting Hannah, he can do that, but just have one other person at a time. Okay, and then Mr. Lawless can also have the right to on the first and third Wednesdays of the month, can have a visitation between 6 and 7 o'clock p.m. And that would be at a location in Austin County that Mr. Lawless will designate. And so he'll text by noon of those Wednesdays, text Miss Lawless, designate a place in Austin County that he's going to come and spend that from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. with the child. And also for the visits at Midtown Park, of course, Miss Lawless is ordered to deliver the child, by 1 p.m. at the park. Mr. Lawless is ordered to return the child by 3 p.m. at the park. As far as those Wednesday visits, Miss Lawless is ordered to deliver the child by 6 p.m. and Mr. Lawless is ordered to return the child by 7 p.m.
And he's not to leave wherever those designations are.
And right, so, and again, so much of this determines on what Hannah's attention span is and what things interest her. If it works out to meet at a restaurant and have dinner, that's fine. And so, but again, then he wouldn't leave the restaurant. If he wants to go to that park in Sealy, the Lions Park with her, he could do that, but just don't leave. But on those Wednesdays, he'll designate the place.
How would the Wednesday order work? I'm currently living in San Antonio, so that's about a 4-hour drive.
And Mr. Lawless, that's just up to you. If you can make that work in your schedule, you do it. If you're going to do it, again, you text her by noon that day and say, I'm coming and I want to meet Hannah at Tony's restaurant in Sealy. And yeah, you have to drive to Sealy and you're there for an hour. If you can't do it, then you just text her and say, I can't come to Austin County this Wednesday.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm not going to put a specific time period on revisiting this. It's going to depend on how it goes, but I'll probably want to hear back in a month or so, a couple months from the attorneys and see how it's going, and then decide if we'll expand it or. And again, Ms. Smythe, you can add the typical language to this order that if the parties agree otherwise. So, if they agree to expanded times or vary the hours, that's fine. And if it starts to work and the parties want to agree to more, then they can agree to more.
And what would you suggest, Your Honor, would be the next step?
Well, so much depends on how it goes for the next couple months. So right now, until I know how things go between Mr. Lawless and Hannah, I don't want to set anything, and so I can tell Mr. Lawless, tell you, Mr. Lawless, one of the big things is to make sure that you can make as many of these as possible. For sure the Saturdays.
Is it only going to be Saturday, or is it going to be Saturday and Sunday?
Now, let's start off with just Saturdays. Saturdays
Okay.
on the first, third, and fifth Saturdays. So example, in May, there are 5 Saturdays. So you potentially in the month of May could see her 3 times on Saturday and 2 times on Wednesday. So that would be up to 5 visits in May. And again, we'll need, depending on how things go, we'll probably have to revisit in a couple months. Yeah, I'm not going to put anything about Thanksgiving or Christmas yet. Before we get to that point, we'll need to come back and see how it's working.
Can we go ahead and look at dates for coming back, maybe in June?
Okay, well, I tell you, when I'm done with this, we can look at a date.
Okay.
Okay, so Mr. Lawless will be ordered to maintain the medical and dental insurance on the child. And so Ms. Lawless will need to provide him with any information that he needs to enroll her in insurance.
I'm sorry, Mr. Lawless is gonna do insurance?
Yes, he'll maintain the medical and dental. Is my understanding from the testimony that he could provide that through the employer. Is that right?
Yes. At this employer, I have not. I can enroll in benefits, but I don't have them for another month and a half.
Okay.
So until then I can just kind of do the Medicaid thing or pay whatever kind of fee it is. Or
Should we just do Medicaid then, for now, Your Honor? Or?
But just maintain her in Medicaid, and but go ahead and enroll her as soon as you can, and then when she is able to be covered, then you'll provide that.
Okay.
And that's in a month and a half, Mr. Lawless said?
Yeah, that's a month and a half.
All right, so now Ms. Lawless will provide Mr. Lawless the name of the daycare, the name of any medical providers, and Mr. Lawless will be provided as a contact person with the daycare and providers. And so Mr. Lawless is able to talk to medical providers if needed. Mr. Lawless will be entitled to get a FaceTime call, 7 p.m. We'll start that off every day. And, it'll be no more than 10 minutes. All right, Miss Lawless will have possession of the Jeep. She'll make the payment, she'll make the insurance, and then all the standard injunctions will be in place. So again, Ms. Smythe will prepare that with an entry on May 3rd. All right, so Mr. Anderson, anything else I need to cover now?
I don't believe so, Judge.
And Ms. Smythe, anything else?
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Okay, so let's go off the record and we'll look at another date. I want to give it several months here, so let's see if there's some time about mid-July.
And Judge, just so the court's aware, in July 12th through the 26th, I'll be on vacation. So
Okay.
Judge, for how long of a hearing?
And for right now, I'm viewing this next hearing, unless there's some big dispute, I don't even think it needs to be much of an evidentiary hearing. I really just hear from Mr. Anderson and Ms. Smythe. Now, if one side says it's a total disaster and the other side said it was perfect, well, then I might have to hear something. But what I hope happens is, I'm going to hear, okay, this has been going on for now 8-9 weeks and everything's been working out. So then we'll probably expand it a little bit. But so anyway, back to Ms. Lozano. I'm hoping not more than an hour. Just and also, again, if when we get close to July, if Mr. Anderson and Ms. Smythe get together and they can construct their own expansion, if things are working well, that's fine. Now, again, if things are going terribly, then we're in another situation. All right, so how about that? Mr. Anderson comes back, I think he said the end of July. So is there something, whoops, I'm gonna be gone. I'm gonna be gone some the end of July.
26th open, 27th in the afternoon open, 28th open.
And I may be gone some of those days. So when is it that you leave again, Mr. Anderson?
So the 12th through the 26th is what I have set for my vacation days. We're not leaving till the 15th and coming back on the 20th. But since I have my kids for those 2 weeks, we may be taking another family trip.
Okay. What about the afternoon of the 6th?
That's available, Judge.
Okay, the one thing that would determine is this going to be in person since we're talking July? Because then it would be available, but not if it's going to be, probably not if it's going to need to be via Zoom.
Well, and again, my thought right now is if this is not an evidentiary hearing, it could be by telephone or we could do Zoom, but not need a record. Now, again, if we're going to have to come in and have a full-blown evidentiary hearing, then we may need to look at another date.
Then the July 6th, about 2:30 should be fine, Judge. We have a little hearing at 1:30.
Okay, so July 6th around 2:30?
Yes, Your Honor.
So why don't we go ahead and Ms. Smythe, if you want to just put that in the order that we'll have either a Zoom hearing or telephone conference, a non-evidentiary hearing on July 6th at 2:30. And if we need something other than that, we'll have to
Reset it to a hearing.
reset it to another date.
Okay.
All right, so Mr. Anderson, anything else?
I don't believe, Judge. Ms. Lawless, do you have anything you want me to bring up to the judge yet? Nope, we're good, Judge.
Okay. And I tell you what, since I know that first Saturday is May 1st, what did I say here? I need to look back at my notes. Hold on.
And Judge, I will admonish my client about the proper way to supervise this thing, which is not on Mr. Lawless's back and at a distance. I will make sure she understands that, and her mom before they leave, to where we don't have any interruptions or altercations or anything at the Columbus Park. I don't want to have to get Colorado County involved in this either, so.
And I could tell, Miss Lawless, again, we don't want it to be intrusive. We want to let Mr. Lawless interact with Hannah as much as possible. There's nothing wrong if you want to sit in a car and videotape it if you have a question. And, Mr. Lawless, same thing. If you have your, parent or sibling or friend or something come by, they can sit in the car by the park and videotape what goes on too. So if there's, any question in the future, what happened. But keep in mind, the idea here is to have Mr. Lawless and Hannah have quality time together. So don't want people interrupting that or interfering with that. All right, anything else today?
I do have a question.
Sure.
As far as like Hannah's like food habits or stuff that she likes, that kind of thing, is it possible that I can get that information from her mother? That way I know how to proceed, obviously, moving forward.
Sure. We'll just ask now, Miss Lawless, does Hannah have any allergies, first of all, food allergies?
No, sir.
And again, if Mr. Lawless, when he meets with her on Saturday, if he wants to bring, something along, a snack or something like that, is there something that she either really likes or something that she doesn't like?
She's not really a picky eater. She'll take anything.
What's her favorite food, Miss Lawless? Food. Does she like McDonald's or Jack in the Box, or does she have a favorite fast food? I know those places are in Columbus, so.
Whataburger.
Whataburger. I think there is a Whataburger in somewhere along the way from Weimar to, what is her favorite thing from Whataburger?
Oh yeah, cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger? Okay. So, did you get that, Mr. Lawless?
I did get that. And does she have any hobbies or anything? Like, does she have like sports, or does she like to be outside, obviously? Does she like soccer or anything like that, or?
She likes being outside and she likes the bubbles.
Bubbles? Okay.
Does she like to draw?
She likes to draw, yes, sir.
Okay. So you
What
can
about
bring,
color?
Coloring, painting.
Does that give you some ideas, Mr. Lawless?
Yes, it does give me ideas.
Okay. Does she like to do puzzles?
Yes.
I think Judge, I believe at the park that you're talking about, I believe there's some tables there and stuff like that. If I'm not mistaken.
yes. So, and again, you can investigate the Midtown Park, but there are areas that are covered so that if it starts getting too warm, you can get in shade and color or play. But then there's outside areas, there's restrooms there. But yeah, you can stop and bring food and see if she wants anything.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right. Anything else?
All I have one.
Okay. On a totally side note, I guess, Mr. Lawless, have you ever watched the show, NBC show on Thursdays, Chicago PD?
No, I do not actually. Not at the moment.
There's a character on that show that looks a lot like you. So it's Wednesdays. I'll tell you what. Well, next Wednesday, Wednesday on NBC, I think at 9 o'clock, you should watch a show called Chicago PD.
Man.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
You know, hey, Judge, you know, the guy you're talking about is Officer Rusick.
Yes.
Me and my wife, whenever I went to the forensic scientist class in Chicago, we were walking back to the hotel that we were staying at, and him and his girlfriend were walking, and they passed us, and my wife turns around and leaves me and runs and grabs him and says, "You're the guy off Chicago PD." And I had to take pictures with her for my wife. So.
Yeah, no, Wednesday, like I said, is totally off the subject. It's one thing that's interesting. My wife and I enjoy is on Wednesday nights, there's 3 shows in a row. At 7 o'clock, it's Chicago Med, which is mainly in a hospital. At 8 o'clock is Chicago Fire. And at 9 o'clock is Chicago PD. And we think it's the neatest idea we've ever seen is you have these 3 shows in a row, and they have a lot of interaction. So you'll have, on the Chicago Med, there'll be a shooting. And so they're bringing the shooting guys, the shooting victims to the hospital, and then the police show up because they're investigating the shooting. And then the next show was Chicago Fire, and, the guy that got shot is the son of a fireman. And so then that gets carried over. And then at 9 o'clock is Chicago PD, and they're investigating the shooting. And then they have to go back and talk to the people at the fire and go back and talk to the hospital. So, it's 3 different shows, but they're all kind of intermingled. It's sort of neat. But anyway, yeah, you need to watch that one officer. He looks amazingly like you.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check it out.
Oh, yeah, me too.
It's Officer Ruzick, Ruzek.
All right. Well, if
Thank you,
nothing-
Your Honor. May we
All right.
be excused?
Nothing else, you'll all be excused.
Thank you,
Oh,
Judge.
right.
Have a good